Palo Alto is known, primarily, as the cradle of high-tech. Its birth registry stretches from pre-World War II Hewlett-Packard to Cisco, Sun Microsystems, after Stanford University Network, Logitech, and on to Google and Facebook. But there's an aspect of the town that's rarely remarked upon. As a happy Palo Alto resident for 25 years, as well as a half-century regular at the Café de Flore and Sauvignon, I can attest that Palo Alto vies with Paris's left bank as the cynosure of theGauche Caviar, the Caviar Left, the Volvo Liberals as they were known eons ago. Palo Altans, like the residents of the 6th arrondissement, have money and they're willing to spend it. This isn't constipated New England, after all, but they only spend it in the proper way. And there's no better way to demonstrate that you are spending your money in a seemly fashion than to be seen driving the proper car. The combination of tech culture, money, and sincere, if easily lampooned, social/ecological awareness make Palo Alto an interesting place to watch automotive fashion wax and wane. Walking Palo Alto's leafy streets in the early 2000s, I witnessed the rise of the Prius. Rather than grafting green organs onto a Camry or a distinctive Tercel, Toyota's engineers had designed a hybrid from the tires up, and they gave the car a distinctive, sui generis look. It was a stroke of genius, and it tickled a screen. What better way to flaunt our concern for the environment, while showing off our discerning tech taste than to be spotted behind the wheel of a Prius? I write us without irony. I owned a General and a General 2 Prius, and drive a Prius V in France. Right parenthesis. Palo Alto was Prius City years before the rest of the world caught on. Prius is now the third best-selling car worldwide. More than 1 million were sold in 2012. Right parenthesis. The cubed, but artificial Volkswagen Beetle came and went. The Mini, on the other hand, has been a success. A coupling of British modesty and German engineer, the car is built by BMW. The Mini proved that Americans could fall in love with a small car. The smart, an even smaller car, hasn't fared well at all. There are now more older Citroens than smarts on our streets. I also see some tiny Fiat 500s, but too few so far to call it a durable trend. Then there's Tesla. In 2008, when the Tesla Roadster came out, I watched it with mixed feelings. Some in my neighborhood ended up on flatbeds, but I smiled as I saw Roadster smoothly and silently outrun a Porsche when the traffic light turned green. As much as I admired Elon Musk, Tesla's founder and a serial entrepreneur of PayPal fame, I was skeptical. A £1,000 battery and electric drivetrain in a Lotus frame, it felt like a hack. This was a beta release car, a $100,000 name-owned niche vehicle. It wasn't seemly. Musk muscled his way through, pushed his company onto firmer financial ground, and, in June 2012, Tesla began delivery of the Model S. This is a real car with 4 doors, a big trunk too, actually, front and back, and a 250-mile range. Right away, the sales lot at Tesla's corporate store in nearby Menlo Park was packed. I started to see the elegant sedan on our streets, and within a few months there were 3 Model SS in the parking garage at work. With their superior range, they rarely feed from the F-charging stations. The Nissan Leaf, on the other hand, is a constant suckler. Right parenthesis. This was a big deal. the company had jumped straight from beta to Tesla 2.0. The bigwigs in the automotive press agreed. Motor Trend and Automobile magazine named the Model S the 2012 Car of the Year. Actually, not all the bigwigs agreed. The New York Times' John Broder gushed over the Model S's futuristic engineering. The car is a technological wonder, but published an ultimately negative story titled "Stalled Out on Tesla's Electric Highway." The battery wouldn't hold a charge, the car misreported its range, Tesla support gave him bad information, the car ended up being hauled off on a flatbed. Broder's review didn't evince much empathy from Elon Musk, a man who clearly doesn't believe the meek will inherit the earth. In a detailed blog post backed up by the data that was logged by the car, Tesla's CEO took Broder to task for shoddy and fallacious reporting. As the state of charge log shows, the Model S battery never ran out of energy at any time, including when Broder called the flatbed truck. During the second supercharge, he deliberately stopped charging at 72%. On the third leg, where he claimed the car ran out of energy, he stopped charging at 28%. More unpleasantness ensued, ending with an uneasy statement from Margaret Sullivan, the NIT's public editor. Problems with precision and judgment, but not integrity, in Tesla test, and with Musk claiming that the NIT story had cost Tesla $100 million, £65 million, in market cap. Other writers, such as David Thayer in Forbes, rushed to Broder's defense for no reason other than an inclination. I'm inclined to trust the reporter's account of what happened, though at this point, it barely matters. The original story is so far removed that, mostly what we have now is a billionaire throwing a temper tantrum about someone who said mean things about him. In Why the Great Elon Musk Needs a Muzzle, sorry, no link. The article is iPod only. Aaron Robinson of Car and Driver magazine condemns Musk for the sin of questioning the infallibility of the New York Times. There's no need to pile onto this argument, but let's note that the NIT's foibles are well documented, such as, I can't resist, its torture justification for not using the word torture when dealing with enhanced interrogation. Right parenthesis. None of this dampened the enthusiasm of customers living in our sunnier physical and psychological climate. I saw more and more Model SS on the streets and freeways. Most telling, the Model S became a common sight in the car park at Alice's restaurant up the hill in Woodside, a place where bikers and drivers of fashionable cars, vintage and cutting edge, gather to watch and be watched. Publishing deadlines can be cruel. A few days after Robinson's story appeared in Car and Driver, Tesla released its quarterly numbers for Q1 2013. Click to enlarge. Tesla's $555 million in revenue is an astonishing 20x increase compared to the same quarter a year ago. Tesla is now profitable. Shares jumped by more than 37% in 2 trading sessions. On Wall Street paper, the company's $8.77 billion market cap makes it worth about 20% of GM's $42.93 billion capitalization. Musk got his lost $100 million back and more. Curiously, the numbers also show that, while operations were in the red, the company recorded a net income of $11 million. How is that possible? The explanation is simple. If your car company manufactures vehicles that surpass, in a good way, California's emissions standards, the state hands you zero-emissions vehicle credits for your good behavior. You can then sell your virtue to the big car companies, Chrysler, Ford, GM, Honda, who must comply with ZEV regulations. For Tesla, this arrangement resulted in higher sales of regulatory credits, including $67.9 meters in zero-emission credit sales. Tesla is careful to note that this type of additional income is likely to disappear towards the end of 2013. For a more detailed analysis of Tesla's numbers, see this post from The Truth About Cars, a site that recommends itself for not being yet another industry mouthpiece. Right parenthesis. The numbers point to a future where Tesla can leave its niche and become a leading manufacturer in a too often stodgy automotive industry. And, of course, we Silicon Valley geeks take great pleasure in a car that updates its software over the air, like a smartphone, that has a 17 inches touch screen, and that's designed and built right here. The Tesla factory is across the bay in the Numi plant that was previously occupied by Toyota and GM. A last dollop of honey in Elon's revenge. Coinciding with the car and driver screed, Consumer Reports gave the Model S its top test score. After driving a friend's Model S at adequate freeway speeds, I agree, it's a wonderful car, a bit of the future available today. Some say the Model S is still too pricey, that it's only for the very well-off who can afford a third vehicle, that it will never reach a mass audience. It's a reasonable objection, but consider Ferrari. It sold 7,318 cars in 2012, and says it will restrict output in 2013 to less than 7,000 to keep its exclusivity. In other words, it must adapt to the slowing demand in Europe, and, perhaps, Asia. Last year, Land Rover sold about 43,000 cars in the US. By comparison, Tesla will sell about 20,000 cars this year, and expects to grow further as it opens international distribution. One more thing. Elon Musk is also the CEO of SpaceX, a successful maker of another type of vehicles, space launch rockets.